And good morning, everyone. Glad to be back here at 8:08 a.m. on KFYO Morning. 69 degrees on this 5th day of September. And as we told you earlier today, we anticipating someone from the Cowboy Symposium this weekend, and we have someone in our studio. Paul Stonum, president of the National Cowboy Symposium. Glad to have you on board this morning and tell us. I mean, we love the Cowboy Symposium in Lubbock. It's been, 30 years?
30 years. This is our 30th anniversary.
Wow, it doesn't seem that long because I remember the first one. But that's great. 30 years of the Cowboy Symposium. Well, tell us about it. It's this weekend in Lubbock.
It is this weekend, the 7th, 8th, and 9th, so Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We've got a full slate of programming going on, from music to reenactment groups to poetry, chuck wagon cooking. We've got a little bit of everything this weekend for folks. And our 30th anniversary, we're rolling out a special deal. So those 30 and under will get in free this year.
30 and under?
30 and under to celebrate
Whoa.
our 30th anniversary.
Oh, well, cool.
It's not me, but
Yeah.
my kids will get in free, which is a big deal.
What about all of us guys that are 65 and older?
Well, we will enjoy having you.
Okay.
You'll bring some experience to the group.
Yeah, okay.
So
Hey, you already get a discount on your taxes.
That is true. I'm telling you, on one hand, I'm finding that there's a lot of advantages to being old, but then there's some disadvantages too, that's for sure. Well, okay, tell us where the symposium is, and for those who are not familiar with it, what they can expect to see.
Well, we hold the event at the Lubbock Memorial Civic Center every year. Little change this year. If you've ever been out to the symposium, you will remember, of course, we have the Chuck Wagon Cook-Off, our national championship Chuck Wagon Cook-Off, which has always been kind of where the new Buddy Holly Center is being built, or not center, but the Performing Arts Center is being built. And so we're actually moving that portion of our event over by the Mahon Library this year. So we'll have some horse training inside this year because of the reduced amount of space, and then we'll have some Indian activities. Some of the folks will be out there in our chuck wagon area.
The Indian activities.
The Indian activities.
So tell us about that.
Well, we've got some folks from the Quanah Parker family that will be out. We've got just all sorts of different activities going on around Indian lore.
With Indian attire?
With Indian attire, yes, sir.
Cool.
Yes, we'll have teepees and all that sort of thing. So,
yeah,
exciting times.
Well, the Cowboy Symposium, I guess, is meant to celebrate really our area.
It is.
Area, isn't it?
It is. It absolutely is. You know, we were talking a little bit before we got started here about that this Lubbock South Plains area is kind of where cowboys, are from, and our state historian, Bill O'Neill, will be here talking about John Chisholm Cattle King this year. So he's, that's this area.
The Chisholm Trail.
The Chisholm Trail, absolutely. Absolutely. And we'll have several folks in. Casey Fitzgerald is an author who talks about writing Western fiction and that sort of thing. We'll have her here this year. We'll also have a former Texas Tech Museum curator who's going to be talking about buffalo hunting in the late 1800s, which was, of course, big in this area. And we'll have lots of weapons. I know you guys aren't afraid of guns around here, and so
No.
The Texas Rangers, who generally help provide our security during the event, will also have a display of antique firearms this year. That one's not been advertised much.
Texas Rangers. Well, that's
Texas Rangers.
That they come in from several other counties, I suppose.
They do, yes, sir.
That's great because I guess they're the oldest law enforcement agency in Texas.
They are, yes. And we talk about the cowboy era, and that's not a bygone era. We still have working cowboys today.
Yeah.
And we're actually going to have a session this year where we'll have actual working cowboys that will be answering questions and talking about what's going on working ranches today.
That will be great.
Yes.
Because I was just saying that in this part of the country, it's one of the few places, at least in the United States, where we actually have cowboys that sleep in bunkhouses. They get up in the morning, they saddle up their horse, and they ride the range, taking care of the cows, making sure that they are healthy and making sure they've got water, and doing what cowboys do.
That's right.
And
they're up before breakfast or before the sun, drinking coffee out of a tin cup and saddling up.
Well,
as the sun comes up.
I'm sure that you have been to the Western Museum up in Ruidoso.
I have.
This is the first time I had seen it. Was I guess about 3 weeks ago when we were there. They have a display of several old wagons and buggies and well, I guess every kind of that's represented. But they also had a couple of actual chuck wagons.
And you can come out to the Cowboy Symposium and see about 10 of those that will actually be working. They'll actually be cooking on open wood fires. They'll actually provide a meal that you can purchase tickets for at noon on Saturday.
Well, I looked at those with amazement, and I'm visualizing this wagon following the herd. Tell me if I'm wrong here. They follow the herd, and then they set up, I guess, out in front of the herd, and the cowboys gather in, and they produce, 3 meals a day for the cowboys?
3 meals a day.
And they've got the only water they have probably is in a barrel that's attached to the wagon.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
They have no gas stove.
No.
They got to build a fire.
Right.
I just thought how fundamental that is and how incredible that is.
And one of the other new events we're going to have this year is we're actually going to have some of the chuck wagon cooks actually having a session. And I know one of the stories that you might hear is that, of course, out here in this West Texas area, there's not a whole lot of trees. So wood was an issue, and surprisingly, dried cow chips was often what they cooked with.
Cow dung, right?
Yeah, cow dung.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's true. I mean, if you see a tree in Lubbock County, somebody planted it.
somebody planted it.
That's what I always tell people.
So tell us about Sunday morning.
Sunday morning, we'll have our traditional chuck wagon breakfast. So it'll actually be cooked on the chuck wagon. And then we'll also have a worship service. We'll have cowboy music, and we'll have someone present a message. And so it's just kind of a good outdoor activity that we'll have that morning. A chance to eat some authentic chuck wagon food, biscuits, gravy, sausage, bacon, the whole thing.
Yeah, so do y'all have music?
Cooked on an open fire.
Cooked on open fire.
So do y'all have cowboy music throughout the whole thing?
We do. We have several stages. We'll have an actual night show where there'll actually be featured performers, people like Pip Gillette, Mary Kay, R.W. Hampton. We'll have lots of folks there. But throughout the day, in different areas throughout our whole venue, there'll actually be cowboy music being played.
Okay.
Oh, that's good.
And what about the cowboy poetry?
Cowboy poetry. We have, it's amazing to listen to these guys, and some of the poems that they recite are so long, and I'm just always amazed at what they can remember. But it's generally talking about the cowboy life in the late 1800s, turn of the century.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess it's a good time to. I guess barbecue was invented by the cowboys, the chuck wagons.
The chuck wagons.
Because the meat, they didn't have any refrigerators to put the meat in, and sometimes it got a little old.
It got a little stale, maybe.
And so they invented a really hot sauce called barbecue to kind of cover up the taste of the meat. Did they not?
I think that's right. I think that's right.
Well, that's about all our time. So once again, give us a quick rundown on the dates and the times. And
We'll be there at the Civic Center 7th, 8th, and 9th. Doors will open at 9. We'll have exhibitors actually in the hall. They'll be open until 7 p.m. each day. And then we'll have cowboy music, poetry, and lots of fun for all ages.
Okay, how do you get tickets?
You can get online at www.cowboy.org. There's actually a full schedule of events, including our parade, which celebrates the horse on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. But you can purchase tickets for raffles and all sorts of things. We'll have spurs and quilts and all sorts of stuff that you can purchase tickets for online.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, Paul, we appreciate you coming out, and I'm sure it's going to be the most successful symposium ever this weekend.
I hope it will. It's 30 years. We're looking forward to it.
All right, bud. Back with more KFYO Mornings after this.